Hey, I'm Zarina Matcha, and you are watching Non-Feminist Gal. 50 years ago in the United States, the bill Roe v. Wade was passed to make abortion safe and legal in order to protect women from the dangers of backstreet abortions. It's very sad that in 2022, when the world has made much progress by way of secular liberal democracy, that the US Supreme Court has decided to overturn Roe v. Wade. The overturning of Roe v. Wade has not outlawed abortion. It has simply made it so that abortion is no longer a federal law, but instead a law decided by each state. Some states have kept abortion as legal, whereas others have made it illegal. My perspective on this is, needless to say, coming from a non-feminist, secular, liberal perspective. If the US government genuinely cared about the rights of babies and single mothers, then they would invest in free contraception, welfare programs for single mothers, adoption centers for unwanted babies, and orphanages for all of the children that are doubtlessly going to be tossed onto the street. But we know that this isn't actually about caring for the rights of children. This is about the dangers of Christian fundamentalism. I want to stress that I have no personal problem with people practicing religious faith in the privacy of their own homes and communities. But when religion infiltrates the law, it becomes dangerous. Right now, in the world, we have two very large and vocal religious groups pushing for indoctrination and social agendas. One of these is, of course, wokeness, identity politics, intersectional feminism, whatever you want to call it, it's all tied together. There are strands of this that are positive, and there are many left-leaning principles and even feminist principles that I do agree with. But if we look at the collectivist ideals within forms of cultural Marxism and critical theory, we can see how it operates very much like a religion. Of course, the other vocal religious group is the fundamentalism within the three Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. These three religions have collectively caused enormous harm to humanity, particularly to people of African and Asian descent with the advent of colonialism. They are not all alike, as abortion is not prohibited in Judaism, as the life of the mother is valued more than the life of the unborn child. But they all originated from the same part of the world at a very specific time, with teachings that were relevant to that time and have little place in our modern, scientifically advanced, secular world. Of course, there are many positive teachings within the Abrahamic religions, and as I mentioned earlier, I have no issue with people practicing their faith privately without pushing it onto the rest of society. I believe in separation of church and state, which we have in the UK and across the West. I'm not going to sit here and go all Christopher Hitchens about how religion poisons everything, because that is far too simplistic. If we strip away the fundamentalist doctrines, we are left with the spiritual teachings, and spirituality and faith gives lots of comfort and guidance to people. I myself practice a form of spirituality and do have my own sort of faith, although this is not based on any of the major religions. Few, if any, take issue with religion when it is not used as a form of political control, and unfortunately, many in power use these fundamentalist aspects of these religions as a form of control. The overturning of Roe v. Wade is nothing more than evangelical Christian fundamentalism pushing its way into the 21st century and trying to dictate people's private choices. The people who will be affected by the overturning of this bill are likely poor or low-income couples, families, and women who live in Bible states which view abortion as a sin. Due to their lack of scientific reasoning, these states do not understand that a fetus is not the same as a living baby. Like most who are pro-choice, I am not pro-abortion. I think it should only ever be used as a last resort. But to make it illegal doesn't mean that abortion will stop. It simply means that those who are financially or physically disadvantaged will either have to travel far to get an abortion or have to undergo potentially dangerous illegal abortions. Right now, millions of women across the world face potential death from illegal abortions. Keeping abortion legal is not sinful, it's practical. I can guarantee you that no woman ever wants to endure an abortion unless she is a psychopath. For the vast majority of women, terminating a life inside of her is a horribly painful and traumatic experience that she would not go through unless she was either poor, disabled, mentally ill, raped, assaulted, or simply unable to care for the child. Women's bodies are made to give birth to children. For a woman to go against that natural life forming inside of her must mean that she has a good reason. I know for myself, if I were to become pregnant right now, which thanks to modern birth control is highly unlikely, I would not be in a position to care for or raise a child. Like most people in their 20s, I am not emotionally or financially well enough to have a child. The world has moved on a lot since the 1970s. Religious conservative fundamentalists fail to understand that most people now are living longer. We're living in an age of flourishing science and technology, and postponing marriage and children is nothing more than social evolution. It has little to do with feminism or the downfall of society. Plus, modern research has shown us that the adult brain is not fully matured until the age of 25, so most 20-year-olds are not mature enough to have children or get married. Few women use abortion as a form of birth control. Making abortion legal is not going to make women sleep around like men. And even if they are, so what? What do you care what people do in their private lives? If you're so anti-abortion, then you should be making contraception a compulsory legal requirement and giving free condoms to every household in America, Ben Shapiro. But we know you're not going to do that. All I can say is that as long as people continue to educate themselves and remain on the side of science, reason, secularism, and stay away from religious fundamentalism, then hopefully the world will continue to move forward rather than the return to the Dark Ages. We shouldn't really be arguing about gender pronouns or people's personal rights in the 21st century. We should be past this nonsense and thinking about more serious problems like climate change, poverty, housing, the environment, artificial intelligence, and so on. But what do you think? Is the overturning of Roe versus Wade mostly tied to Christian fundamentalism? Do you think that religion has made the world a better or worse place, or something in between? Are you religious but support abortion for those in desperate need of it? Please let me know. Thank you for watching.